Hi everyone, I'm going to be doing another looks one palette. I'm hoping to get 4 looks, but we'll see because I also have some holiday stuff I want to film with before it sells out. But I am way more excited about this than Celestial Nirvana, which I should have gotten this when it first launched. In retrospect, you know, it's not like I want to become some sort of Fortune 500 YouTuber, but if I do want to grow my channel, sometimes you gotta make the investment. Here it is. This is Moonlit Seduction. The colors are going to be washed out on camera, sorry. It's adjusted for like my skin and everything, and I don't have it like, it's not like on automatic, it's on manual. But so I'm going to start off with a Worker Pro, and I think for the first look I just want to go ahead and play with the duochrome that's in this palette. Can't wait, want to dig in. So I'm going to first start off with this beautiful brown, very desaturated, very cool, just a beautiful cool brown. I don't really think this palette is a warm palette or a cool palette by any stretch of the imagination, because the other two shades here are a little bit more warm based, but they've been desaturated to the point where they feel significantly cooler than their more saturated counterparts. So while I don't call this a cool palette, it's definitely cooler than her previous offerings, particularly Mothership 6, Mothership 5, very warm, and then 7 and 7 Part 2, very pink. Utopian Dreams, again, very pink. So this is going to be a really big kind of offbeat contrast from her trending Motherships. When I first saw her photos, I was like, oh my god, another pink palette. But actually, it's not. Looking at it in real life, those photos are definitely not accurate at all. This is actually not a pink palette. And so I was really pleasantly surprised to finally have this in my hands and open it. And when I was in Las Vegas, I swatched it, and because you know, my store near me doesn't have Pat McGrath because that Sephora thinks we're all poor apparently. But when I was in Las Vegas, I got a chance to actually swatch it in person, and I was like, this is way less pink than I thought it would be. And I totally should have just gotten it when it first came out so that I could have showed you guys more about it. So yeah, from now on, I will be more on the ball with Motherships. I'm rather turned off by her holiday releases after Celestial Nirvana, so depending on next year's holiday collection, I may skip part of it. That is just such a beautiful brown. And I used the Rare Beauty eyeshadow primer, so nothing super fancy except for like the fact that I'm using a Sonia G brush, but okay, I'm gonna take the excess left on the brush, and I do want to do like a lighter brown wash across my eyelid. Now, she only has 3 mattes in this palette, but the nice thing about that is that you can just apply a lighter layer and then you can get a lighter color. So you can see now I have kind of like this very thin wash of brown across my entire eyelid. This definitely is giving me vibes of that new Makeup by Mario palette. As you can see, I'm not applying like an opaque layer all at once, but I can gradually and softly build to that, which is really awesome. So I have a lot of control over this shadow, which is of course what I prefer. And I'm not really getting any fallout or anything. So for the shimmers, there's a lot of shimmers in this palette, so the matte bases are probably going to be pretty similar across all the looks I do, but the shimmers I pick are going to be very different. But I highly recommend, just even looking at these textures and from watching the videos, if you're going to use the shimmers on the right end of the palette, so those 4 shimmers, they don't look the same as the other baked formulas in her other Motherships, but they look very textured, which tells me they're going to have a really gorgeous finish, but they're also going to be very difficult to stick to your eyelid without a good solid base. I used to really like her Intensifies wand, but that piece of junk dries up and then it like shrinks so quickly, and now it's just useless. Absolutely useless, so I just had to toss it. What a complete and utter waste of money. So I do not recommend it, and I'm very sorry if I convinced any of you to buy it. I am so sincerely sorry for wasting your money. I now recommend an actual just standard glitter glue. So NYX makes one, Fair&A makes one. Both of those are like under 10 bucks. So speaking of, I'm going to go into my NYX glitter glue, and the NYX glitter glue, especially compared to the Fair&A Pixie Epoxy, comes in a tube, which means this little tube, all the product in the back is not getting exposed to air. Like, it'll last you forever, barring that you like explode the tube or you break something. Dab it across my entire eyelid because I'm going to start packing on shimmers. So now I'm going to take out a brush, and I really just want to go ahead and use this beautiful there you go. You can really see when I tilt it. It's definitely not a unique shift, blue, brown, blue, pink, or whatever, but I'm still really excited. So yeah, you can see when I pick it up on my brush, look at all those little individual chunks. And I'm just going to very slowly tap it onto my eyelid. And you can really see that intense sparkly but also chunky texture. Now bear in mind, she's not using actual like plastic glitter. This is an eye safe shadow. But if you do have ultra sensitive eyes that are even sensitive to just chunkier shadows, you will still want to exercise caution with her formulas. You can see really just how thick of a layer I can apply with that glitter glue down. This is a really great winter feeling palette. It definitely just gives off that cold feeling of winter. And if you sheer out this shadow, you can see how it becomes almost kind of wet and glossy looking. When applied sheerly, it actually reminds me of the Odin's Eye Solmon highlighters, the ones that are in the chunkier formula. It reminds me literally just like that. I was thinking of using this silver shade, but I actually really want to use this one right down here. I think that'll be really pretty. And I put the glitter glue all the way to my inner corners because I'm fully expecting to need it. So this is a little bit kind of more on the peachy side, a little bit of pink in it as well. And yeah, you can see that this is also very, very chunky, very textured. This is not a super brightening inner corner highlight shade, but it is just really, really pretty. So now what I kind of want to do is I kind of want to leave the lower lash line fairly clean. I am going to take more of that brown on a smaller brush. I don't want it to be smoked out like at all. And I'm going to use my nail. I'm gonna put it right in the center. Just like that, because I know I'm going to need it. Or you can wet the shades and get it. I'm sure it would look fine with your finger as well, but for me glitter glue is just the way to go. So I'm gonna go into this really bright silver here. I'm going to apply it to my lower lash line. And I'm gonna also let the shade kind of go down below my eyes. I've been really liking that like kind of soft, almost crying appearance. So I'm gonna almost let it just kind of fall. I just really like how it looks on me for some reason. I'm applying the shade very delicately. It's as if I'm applying individual chunks of glitter. And then I'm going to take a little bit of that inner corner highlight shade I used and just pop it on the inner corner. Now I didn't put any glitter glue here, so it's not going to be as intense, but that's fine. And now I'm going to go back in and touch up the brown. Just wherever I think I need more of that. It's not as dark on the eye as it looks in the pan, because in the pan, if you really look closely at it, it's not a super deep brown. I'd say it's more of a darker mid-tone brown. So it's not like this palette has like as much depth as her other palettes, particularly obviously palettes where she has like an actual black. So that's also something worth taking into consideration. So this is really going to be great at giving you those kind of almost foggy, hazy looks. So I think the name is pretty much accurate. The whole Moonlit Seduction, foggy feels, almost like ethereal, fairies, magic. This definitely just gives off that vibe completely. Take a clean brush. It's a little bit jarring, the shimmer's up here, so I'm just going to take a clean brush and kind of move those particles around to smooth it out. There is a slight base with this blue brownish duochrome, so I am just going to use a brush just to kind of make sure it's nice and blended. So now I'm going to add some lashes off camera. I'll finish off my makeup. I'll be right back. I am so far absolutely hypnotized. I'm really excited to finish up filming with this palette. Definitely way more excited than Celestial Nirvana. I think I've learned a lesson from this experience. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so this is going to be my finished look, and I really like it. I like how it looks. I love how sparkly everything is, because I've definitely made it clear several times that I do like myself a pretty intense eye look when it comes to how sparkly things get. So I did apply some inner corner liner, but aside from that, that's it. Lashes, mascara, whatever. Julesy occasionally has these really big kind of surprise sales, and if you take the time to pick through them, you can find some like surprisingly crazy deals. So I really wanted to try this new blush duo I got from 2AN. Now, the shade on the left is pretty much useless to me. I literally am never going to use this unless it's just to like brighten up my face, but I mostly got it because the shade on the right, I'm still trying to find my perfect lavender, so I got this to try. I could like this. I have a couple of other ones on my wish list from Beauty Box Korea, and I may get them soon, but in the meantime, not bad. So I'd use that as my blush, and then it kind of was like not meshing well with my bronzer. So towards the back of my face to mesh with my bronzer, I did use this blush from Flower Nose. It's an 04 Dream Chaser from the Strawberry Rococo collection. As you can see, it's a very desaturated, cool pink. It's a little bit darker, obviously, than the lavender, so I used that in the back just so that the purple wouldn't mix with the bronzer and create this really weird color, because they're not going to go together. I used Skywalker from Kaleidos. It's a white to blue highlighter, and I also used it on the center of my face, so especially on my nose, you can really, and my chin, you can see the blue pop up. And then for my lips, I lined my lips, and then I think my lip tone might be a little too warm for this look. But the other thing I got during the Julesy sale is I picked up the rest of the Unleashia non-sticky dazzle tints that I wanted. So the shade I used all over is going to be in the new packaging. It's this one, and it's in the shade number 10, I guess is what it's called, number 10. And then I did use the shade number 1 on the inner part of my lips for gradient lip. Now this I think is a bit too warm of a red, but I thought it would work, but it's a little bit too warm. And that's gonna be it for this makeup look. I absolutely love how everything came together. I love how sparkly I look. I cannot wait to finish filming with this palette. So yeah, I'm gonna move on to the second look now. Hello, back for look number 2. I used the same eye primer as I used first time, so that would be Rare Beauty. So I think today what I think I will do is I'm going to pair this shadow with with this gold up here. I think will be really fun, and I may go back into this matte for depth. So I'm gonna take that shade, which is like a desaturated brick with a little bit of pink in it. These shades have a lot of nuance to them. And I'm just using a fluffy brush so that I can gradually build and blend. And as you can see, it spreads out very easily and readily without much issue. And you can really see, again, as I did with the first look, I'm just using one shadow to build up a lot of dimension without going into any of the other shadows. So that really just kind of showcases how these shadows can build very easily. So as you can see, I kept it dark on the outer corner. I have been very pleased with the quality of the mattes so far, which is usually where I have the most criticism, if I do have them, is that sometimes I don't agree with her mattes, but so far I haven't had any problems here. Yeah, that is so pretty, and it really took me all of like no time at all to complete. And I do love this shade, so pretty, and it's just desaturated enough to just feel just super soft. Pretty, and then I'm going to take that on the lower lash line, and I'm just going to let it kind of blow out a little bit, so I'm not going to care as much about keeping it tight like I did for the first look. I'm going to take a rougher 12, and I do want to add just a little bit of depth, so going into that dark brown that you saw me use for look number 1, I'm just going to tap it in right here, kind of like fat eyeliner. And then just a little bit in the back. Yeah, just a little bit, just like the tiniest bit really. Alright, so now I'm going to take some glitter glue, and as I said before, I'm going to be using NYX glitter glue for pretty much all 3 looks, 3 or 4, I'm not sure yet. And I'm putting it all the way into my inner corner because I know I'm going to have shadow going all the way that far back. And then I'm going to put a little bit on the lower lash line. My middle fingernail broke, so I guess I'll just take advantage of having a fingertip and use that for now. Alright, and now taking this beautiful gold shade here, I'm just going to use this as kind of the key shade. And as you can see, super textured, very loose in the pan, so absolutely you're going to want to be careful. And I'm just going to, I tap it on first, I don't rub it on so that I don't get fallout. I wore the first look for about 5 hours, and after 5 hours the eyeshadow looked brand new. Now I know 5 hours is not really a full wear time, but for there to be absolutely no signs of fading even at 5 hours, for it to just look pristine, definitely I'm very pleased with that, and that bodes well for how long it'll last. I'm gonna use this shade here for my lower lash line. I want the upper eyelid to kind of be able to stand out on its own. This is gonna be one of her smoother formulas. As you can see, it's a lot softer, but it is very smoothing. Here's what it looks like. So as you can see, it is gonna have a much softer finish, but it's very smooth, feels really creamy. Like, I'm down for a satin, but it needs to like actually be a good satin, you know? And I feel like at this point, like, how many different variations of a champagne inner corner can you make? They all look the same to me, and I think in some of her palettes they're even just straight up repeats. And you can definitely see the textural contrast of this versus the gold. This one is not as bright as some of her other inner corner highlight shades in other motherships, by the way. It's a little bit darker. And then just to blend it in, I'm gonna take more of that gold and just kind of make sure they blend into each other. Alright, and here is going to be this finished eye look. Absolutely gorgeous and beautiful, but as I'm going to continue to reiterate, you need a glitter glue, so I'm gonna finish off this look and then I'll be right back. Okay, this is gonna be my finished look. Honestly, it is definitely on the simpler side, especially given that there's not really too much depth to it, but the beauty is just in the finish. I'm very happy. I did add some wing liner, some inner corner liner, just to add some definition, add some elongation to my eyes, and honestly, this feels perfect. I would totally just wear this as a casual day look. This for me is like casual eyeshadow. For my blush, I found the perfect blush shade, which really matches what the eyeshadow looks like sheared out, and it's gonna be this blush right here in this Clinique palette, which I don't have the name of because I tore off the label, my bad, but it has this packaging. It's one of the holiday trios. You can't get it anymore. And then for my highlighter, I have not used this in a few months, which, considering how much I spent on this, is kind of a travesty, so I'm trying to make it a point to remember to use this more often, and it is the Beauty Light Wand in Pillow Talk. I think it's the light Pillow Talk. It's this one right here. As you can see, it's pretty subtle, but it's just really, really pretty. So for the center of my face, I use this eye highlighter in Glazed Out from the summer collection. I finally managed to find someone selling this. For my lips, I have the YesStyle. I have the Rouge Shine Balm. It's in the shade 151, and I really hate that they don't actually put the like text name of the shade on it, and I forgot to get these engraved. Yeah, they had the buy one get one free, so not all the shades were included. I was super upset. YesStyle discontinues lip products and makes new lip products about as often as ColourPop does, and it really, really irritates me, but these have seemed to have stuck around for a while. I guess just because they're too popular, people would absolutely riot if they let them go. So I will be moving on to the third look. Hello, I'm back for look number 3 using Moonlit Seduction. I'm very excited. So we're gonna do a look that uses this one. So starting off with this matte shadow. I feel like all of my looks so far have kind of had the same structure, so I'll try something different for this look, but no guarantees. And I used, as usual, the Rare Beauty eyeshadow primer. I'm taking a Hakuhodo brush. The natural hairs are gonna be B5507. The natural hairs are really gonna, as you can see, grip onto the pigment and pick up a lot that I can then deposit onto my eyelid. You do want to be careful not to overpack though, because if you overpack Pat McGrath mattes, I do find they can be a little bit stubborn to blend. Now I'm just lightly dipping into the pan and adding more pigment where I need to make the gradient smoother. And that pretty much is how I'm using one shadow to kind of create this really like kind of smoky look. So I've got a nice wash of color, and then I'm gonna start packing it on. So I'm just kind of working on, and I think I did blow the shadow out more on this eye, so I'm just gonna have to balance that out a little bit without it getting too out of control. We all know how that likes to happen. I am not on my A game today, I will say that. These shadows, this blend is honestly not looking that great. I'm being a little sloppy. I'm gonna take a clean brush. Okay, so I've got the base down, looking a lot better. But yeah, this is what it's looking like so far. So I'm going to move on. So I'm going to try this shade here without any glitter glue. I'm just curious as to how to perform. Now my eyelid is a little bit on the matte side. It seems to pick up all right on the brush. It felt kind of squishy. Okay, so this definitely does have some texture to it. A little bit on the chunky side. I got some fallout. Really pretty. It's a very cold silver, almost on top of this plum, warmish plum. It kind of gives off a taupe-like effect. Tap and swipe this on the eyelid so as to avoid further fallout. I do think this will benefit from some kind of glitter adhesive, but you definitely don't need it for this one. It's not like a requirement, which is good. Alright, so swatched onto my finger, you can see it's super reflective, so it seems light colored, but as I tilt my finger away, you can start to see the very, very desaturated taupe dark base come through. So I'm just going to apply this very broadly across my eyelid because I like it so much. I also do feel like this is one of those shades that'll also look really good if you spray your brush beforehand. It'll look really good too. And that is that with finger application. That is so pretty. And it's a lot darker than you would think. So, but it catches a lot of light, so it comes across as a little bit lighter than you would think as well. You can really see when I face the camera, it looks like a bright silver, but as I tilt it away, you start to see the undertone of the shade comes through. Very unique shade. I don't actually have a shade like this in my collection. Ooh, that is so pretty. I am absolutely in love right now, not even kidding. I can never say no to anything with taupe in it. I just can't. I love taupe. So to match with that, I'm going to take this shade on the inner corner. And again, this shade is one of those shades you really should use wet, but I'm just going to use it dry because I'm lazy. And that's that inner corner shade. Love it. I'm going to touch up the matte really quick. That's about the only thing left to do, really. And that is honestly just like such a simple, effective look. But if you want to add a little more depth, you can take some of that brown shadow that I used for the first look and just kind of add it to the end. I'm just kind of applying it where I would apply eyeliner. A little bit just to add some length to my eyes. And I'm gonna pretty much call this look done. I absolutely love how simple yet effective this turned out. I hate removing it, but I'll probably just pop on some waterproof mascara so you guys can see a simple look without false lashes, and then I'll be back and we'll discuss what's on the rest of my face. And I'm gonna squeeze in a fourth look, I think, for you guys. Okay, so this is the finished look. I did get a bang trim, so my bangs are finally more manageable. And I only put on some mascara so you guys can see a look with just my natural but very, very wimpy, excessively unimpressive lashes. So here it is. I just have some waterproof mascara on to hold that curl as best as I can. I feel like my lashes used to be so much longer and they're just so wimpy, but oh well. So I did go to TJ Maxx to try and hunt for whatever is new. I was hoping to find some Glossier or something. Just, you know, I just go like maybe once a month or so just to see if there's anything. And I ended up buying this Stila blush. I don't know why I wanted to, but the color on the box seemed really pretty. It's called Blooming Soul. It's a soft glow powder blush. I don't think you can get this anymore, but if you can, it's probably going to be at TJ Maxx. It's actually really like Korean-like, which I guess is from the name Blooming Soul, like Seoul, Korea. But here's what it looks like. Really cool, kind of brightening pink, as you can see. And it is ultra matte. I don't know why they're calling it soft glow. The highlighter is coming from the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk highlighter right here. I used the white shade and then I used the pink shade. So that's where the glow is coming from. I lined my lips and then I used the shade 88 from the YSL Balm. Just enjoying my newest buy one get one free YSL haul. The code only applied to like 5 or 6 of the shades. And then of course I did put on a little bit of winged liner and some inner corner liner. And that's gonna finish off this look. The fourth look is probably gonna be like really like shimmer heavy. I think I may even do like an all shimmer look using that more satiny shade. But yeah, on to the next look. Hello, I'm back. I'm gonna just squeeze in a nice good fourth look for you guys. This palette definitely deserves it. And I'm gonna do a look that focuses around using this shade right here. Now this is kind of more of a satiny shade, So I'm going to use this. I want to see if I can like almost treat it like a matte, blend it out and stuff, and then if I need to add some depth I will do so. Now I have said before in other videos that I kind of am like in a love-hate relationship with satins, where I feel like I really want to be that person who uses satins and is like super like sophisticated and elegant and classy and whatever, you know, all the associations that come with satins, but I have yet to find a satin formula I actually really like. But in the meantime, I'm going to experiment with this shade. So this is just going to go all over my eyelid as if it was a base shadow. Now today I'm using a slightly different eye primer. I'm using the Makeup Revolution Prime and Lock. This is the one I used to use before Rare Beauty's eye primer came out. And I personally do think it's actually pretty on par with the Rare Beauty eye primer. It's just way cheaper. Okay, so I've applied it all over my eyelid, and as you can see, it actually has a slightly darker base. As I turn my head, you can see the dark base coming through, but in the front of the camera lights, it looks a bit lighter since it catches all that reflect. It is really, really pretty. So this is what it's looking like so far, and as you can see, it's actually, I wouldn't really necessarily call this a satin. It's more of like just a very low intensity, smooth, kind of metallic. So I am gonna go ahead and use that plummier shade I used yesterday. Just kind of add a little bit at the end. I kind of want to lean into how warm this look is, so that's why I'm not using the brown. So I'm just really, it's almost like I'm making the base of the shadow slightly darker. So as you turn my head, you can really see where I've added the shadow. And then I'm just going to use that on the lower lash line. Okay, so that's gonna be this look so far. Absolutely loving how it's turning out. I know it's like kind of boring, but at the same time, I love how this looks. This is like kind of just like the simple look to conclude this video, using like practically no mattes for this. I just wanted to see what I could do. So to end off this look, I am going to go into this peachy shade here as like a topper, and I'm going to take it on my finger and just kind of dab it in the center. Oh yeah, I forgot the shade is actually a lot darker than it looks. And then I'm going to also go ahead and I'm gonna take the shiny sparkly gold and put that on the lower lash line. So this is the gold behaving with no glitter adhesive. As you can see, I haven't set my under eyes yet, so it's able to kind of stick down to the foundation a little bit, which helps. That's so pretty. And then I am going to go ahead and use this really pretty silver, and that's going to go in my inner corner. So again, I'm not using glitter glue today, but the Prime and Lock is on the stickier, kind of tackier side. It feels almost like you're putting a concealer on your eyelid, so that's really going to help and kind of grip onto this. Apply it up and over the look as well. Kind of like one of my favorite shadow placements of lately. And I'm applying it very loosely, so it's just kind of like a sparkly topper at that point. And then just taking a very light layer on my finger, I'm gonna just add a little bit extra sparkle to the center of my eyelids. Just a little bit of extra something special. Alright, and this extremely quick and easy look is now completed. Not much depth to it, but that is completely fine. This is a very texture heavy look, focusing really on just the sheer number of shiny textures and finishes that Moonlit Seduction brings to the table, and as you can see, it is just absolutely beautiful. I definitely really like this palette. Yeah, I know I haven't finished my makeup yet, but I'm so excited. I'm so happy so far. I just wanted to give you those thoughts now, and then we'll wrap up this video. So I'm gonna go finish off the rest of my face and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is gonna be my finished look, just leaving my hair up because it needs to be washed. My eyelashes are about to fly away. Hopefully my lashes stay on until I finish filming. I am wearing, I think it's like really low-key from Doe Lashes is what it is, so they're literally just barely their lashes. This is like what I wish my lashes look like I wish I had lashes like Allie Glines, but I don't, so here we are. But yeah, as I said before, I love this palette, so there's not really anything more I can say. I added some wing liner, and then some inner corner liner, and then some bottom lash mascara, the whole works. So I'm gonna quickly go over what's on my face. So I use some contour and bronzer, of course, as always, and then my blush, I use Pat McGrath, the Skin Fetish Divine Blush in Flirtatious. These are so hard to open. It looks like this, and it comes out actually looking a lot warmer than it looks in pan. And then for the center of my face, to blend out the blush and to brighten up, I actually use the left side of this blush from 2AN. This one right here, the left one, which is pretty much just like, honestly, it's like super chalky, but I do like it for blending out my blush. For highlighter, I dug back into this Hourglass Trio. It is this shade here on my cheeks, and then this shade here on my nose. And then for lips, I line my lips, and then I use the Romand Zero Velvet Tint in Grain Nude, which is from their Vintage Filter collection. You can see it has that kind of frosted packaging. And then to contour my lips, I use the Milk Tea Velvet collection. This is the shade Black Tea. Very dark, unique shade. Definitely not something you see every day on the Korean market. And then I used it kind of on the inner part of my lips to add kind of like a heart-shaped kind of, it's a very trendy lip shape in Korea for like the past like 2 or 3 years, that kind of heart-shaped lip. So that's gonna be it for looks using Mothership 10. I absolutely love it, and I'm definitely going to continue to prioritize her motherships over her other palettes. I should have picked up this palette sooner. I really should have. It would have been a better, I would have enjoyed being able to like it sooner. It would have been a much better investment for my channel as well, because I definitely like this better. I do think eventually I will pick up the Celestial Nirvana Quince, just because those are supposedly in a separate formula entirely, so it's completely different from her other shades. But I'm probably going to pick those up on sale, because by now it's just really too late for me to try and buy them full price, because I don't have time. I absolutely adore Mothership 10. If you guys like the shades, if you guys like how they looked on my eyes, you guys like how they looked on the camera, because again, I found the promo photos to be really, really misleading. And I initially didn't like it based on the promo photos, and so hopefully you guys can see now what the shades truly look like. There's actually a lot of nuance to them. They're surprisingly desaturated with a really complex range of undertones. Absolutely love it. So if you guys are looking for that perfect palette for the winter, I think this is absolutely the perfect winter palette. Just, this screams winter to me. Something about it, just all the winter vibes. Then I think you will be in for a treat if you choose to splurge on this yourself. My only word of caution would be you would be better off using a tackier eyeshadow primer or a glitter glue for the sparklier shades, because they are a little bit loosely pressed in the pan. So if you are trying to go in on a totally matte eyelid with a mattifying eye primer or something, you might be a little bit disappointed. So just bear in mind the kind of preparation necessary for textured, loosely pressed eyeshadows. It's kind of a rule of thumb for any eyeshadow, really. Indie shadows that are especially chunky and textured absolutely suffer from this, like the Glam Shop Hollows and things like that. So if you are an indie shadow lover, you're probably completely not surprised to hear that. But anyways, that's going to be all of my thoughts wrapped up. I had a blast filming with this. I was so excited to film with this every single day I was filming with this, which is completely different from Celestial Nirvana, where I basically had to force myself to make the video. So I think that says a lot about this palette. So I'm really happy. I'm absolutely love that it's in my collection now. Yeah, so I hope you guys found this video helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the meantime. I have so much stuff this holiday season 2022 to film with. I'm very excited, so I hope you guys will join me for wrapping up this year. See you in the next one. Bye-bye!